in the backyard again, and I've got a few projects that I want to do today, so hopefully we'll get through them all. First one, I want to restring the tripod with some bank line, 36 twisted bank line. It's just a bit more durable, it'll stand up to the weather a lot better than the thin paracord that I've got at the moment. Also want to do the same with the sawhorse and finish that off completely. There's paracord on that at the moment, and I haven't put the bottom stay in properly yet either, so I want to tie that off. A few other little things I want to do. If I get time, I want to get a start at least on making a bush chair out of timber, and I've got some pieces there that I pulled out of the forest down the road not too long ago, so I want to convert those into a bush chair, replace the old plastic job that I got from Walmart, and I'll probably cook up some lunch, at least have a cup of tea because it's really cold. It's hard to see, but it's about -3 at the moment, and we're due for a storm tomorrow. Actually overnight tonight it's going to start snowing at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, they're saying, and then we're going to get ice throughout tomorrow, so it's going to get really cold, but it's pretty cold already. So anyway, I'm going to stop sitting around and get into it. So as you can see, I've taken down the tripod off of the camp kitchen and laid it across these 2 stumps. I've replaced the middle one that was a little bit thicker with a thinner one that I had already. Don't need to worry too much about the length of them so long as they're all approximate, because those top parts are just going to stick up above the apex of the frame without any problem. And you can see I've actually tied them last time down here, so I'll do that again. And these are all very similar in width, which I like, so it'll actually be a little bit easier to manipulate. Now all you need to do, or all you need to make a tripod I should say, is bank line, as I said earlier, and that is just number 36 3-ply twisted bank line, and it's tarred so that it'll last quite well out in the elements. A decent knife, decent sharp knife, any knife will do as long as it's sharp, and a toggle, and I'll show you why we need the toggle later, but essentially it's for pulling the cord tight, and you'll see that throughout the process. Now, a technique we're going to use to tie these together is what's known as lashing and frapping. So the lashes go laterally or horizontally, you could say, and the frappings go vertically or around the lashings to pull them tight, and you'll see what I mean when we get into tying that together. So I'll just do a bit of prep and then we'll get into it. So the first thing we need to do is just tie off to one of the posts, and you can do that really with any sort of knot, but I think I'll just use a clove hitch. It's nice and easy, and it'll hold pretty tight. Okay, so from there all we're doing is the lashing. So you probably want, I've tried to accommodate for about 5 wraps of the lashing. So when you're lashing, what you want to do is you want to keep them going from top to bottom, and you want to keep them nice and tight. Firstly, the tighter you can get the lashing, the tighter it'll end up at the end. So as you can see, each loop goes underneath the loop previous, and you want them to lay nice and flat and even as you're going around. So as you can see, all 3 so far are doing that. Now what I'm doing at this side is I'm actually coming over the top of my clove hitch, which will just add a bit of strength to that initial knot so that it can't pull apart. And at this stage, what we want to try and achieve is all those sticks lying nice and flat. So there we go, we've got 4 and now 5. So now that we've got our 5 wraps, what we want to do is start the frapping. And what the frapping is going to do is go across these and bind those really tight inside these joins, so that when you cross the timbers it doesn't slip and fall apart. So to do that, all we're going to do is we're going to pass that over. Actually, we'll probably put the first one down through this gap. So all we're doing is we're poking that cord down through the gap of the timbers, pulling that down to the bottom. Then we're going underneath those lashings and coming back out the top. To do that, you can just pull the cord to the end, and as you can see, that's coming out onto the other side. Now this is where you're going to start using your toggle. Because of the knots of the timber and it's not all perfect, what we can do is a couple of wraps on that toggle, and then you've got a good lever to be able to pull that nice and tight. You can also put your foot on and get it even tighter if you need to. So from there, we're basically creating our first frap. So we're going back through again, and look at that, it's created its own bowline without me even doing it. That's unbelievable. That's how good this cord is. It ties its knots by itself. So pulling all of that running end through and down. And as you can see already, it's really starting to tighten down on those lashings. So then we just do one more wrap, one more frap I should say. Now this time what we want to do at the back side, and I'll just flip this over so we can see, is we want to come across the wrapping to start our next frapping from the top, from the top end down to the bottom end. So just pull that down. So you can see already that's quite a tight hold on those sticks. So wherever you can find a hole, you don't need to be precious about where you're doing it, as long as you get that cord through the timbers. And there we go. So now, because of the tension on those timbers, it's actually just holding itself without me holding the tension. And as you can see, got quite a strong frapping on the bottom side and also on the top side. So then what we can do, because we crossed over underneath, just because I like symmetry, I'm going to cross over on the top and then I'm going to tie off. And there we go. Now, don't forget, we still need a pot hanger loop, so that's what this tail is for. So there we go, tripod's all finished and standing proudly above the fire again. I'll give you a look at the lashings and frappings. As you can see, they twist around quite nicely and give a nice firm fit to the tripod. I changed the idea of the loop a little bit after I stopped filming last time, and I've just come up the top here with a clove hitch again on the end of the loop. I've made 2 notches on my stick on my pot hanger, just so that I can adjust how far down into the fire I want that. So if I want to drop it lower, I can just come down to the 2nd notch, and then as you can see, it sits it quite low into the fire. These are a couple of new, well, a new pot that I've got, which is actually a nesting set from Pathfinder. And I really like it. It's got all stainless steel, and I'll just pull the pot off actually, give you a better look at it over here. But essentially it comes as a nesting set. The fish mouth spreader is actually separate, but you know, for a few dollars it does a great job of hanging the pot. And the pot's actually been designed for that purpose, as you can see, because it's got the slots in the lid. I'm just trying to do this one-handed. It's got the slots in the lid so that that fish mouth spreader can go through. It's got some nice drain holes for when you're cooking your ramen noodles, and then it's just got those holes either side for the fish mouth spreader. It's also got some batwing handles, so once you finish hanging it over the fire, you can use those batwing handles to hang onto the cup. got measuring increments inside so that you can do your cooking. And then it comes with the nesting cup, as you can see, which fits down snugly inside a 32 ounce water bottle. The great thing about this is you can take this lid off. Again, single-handed operation here. Can take that lid off and sit that to a side. Because it's single-walled stainless steel, you can actually drop that whole thing down into the fire so that you can thermally treat water. So you could fill that up with water, throw that straight down in the fire, fill that up with water as well, and hang that over the fire, or in fact sit that down in the fire, and you can thermally treat quite a bit of water in those two containers. So I really like it. Super durable. It's going to be a lifetime purchase, and I think it was $40, which I think is pretty reasonable for what you get. And so I'm going to give that a go today, and as I say, cook some ramen noodles for lunch. Okay, so I've sourced the timber from the woods down the road for the chair. So what I've got two fairly hefty pieces here that I'll be able to put the uprights, use for the uprights I should say. This end that's a bit longer I'll use for one of the cross beams. Then I've got two more pieces here. This one on the left, the longer one, I think I'll cut that in half to be the backstay or the base, the seat part, and then this other one I'll probably use for another one of the cross members and the back of the seat. Then I'll still be left with this thicker part here, which is already starting to split down the middle anyway a little bit, as you can see on the end here. So hopefully I can split that out nicely all the way along, and I might be able to make the seat out of that. So we'll see how we go, but first things first, I'll need to cut the pieces to size, so I'll do that and then come back to you. Okay, so now I've got the A-frame for the upright cut to length, and the cross member that'll hold the seat, and then these are the seat stays that will go back to the spike into the ground, or that touches the ground I should say. So what I need to do now is I need to chamfer these ends so that they sit together nicely at the right angle, and then notch out for this cross member across those uprights to hold the seat. And I'll also chamfer the seat stay ends and lash those together. So I'll get on with that now. just prep that for lashing.